find the exponential Fourier series of this periodic square wave signal W of t. Periodic signals can be expressed as an infinite sum of complex exponentials. These have coefficients ak, and the exponentials have frequencies that are multiples of the fundamental frequency omega naught of the original periodic signal. This begs the question, what is omega naught for this square wave signal we see? Well, it repeats itself every 2 pi seconds, so its fundamental period, t naught, must be 2 pi, and so omega naught, the fundamental frequency, will be 2 pi over 2 pi, or 1 radian per second. So let's substitute omega naught equals 1, and that makes the sum a little bit simpler. Okay, let's now spell out a few terms of this summation so we can get a better idea of what's really going on. We have a0 e to the j0 t, which is just a0, since e to the 0 is just 1, and this is what we call the DC component, or the constant component of the signal, because its frequency is 0, so there's no oscillation. It's the constant part. The next term is a1 e to the 1 jt, and the next is a2 e to the 2 jt, and the list goes on and on. Each of these terms is a harmonic, a certain multiple of the 1 radian per second frequency, the fundamental frequency of W of t. The objective now is to find those coefficients for all values of k, which, if you've noticed, can be negative as well. So, how do we get those coefficients ak? The definition is 1 over t, the fundamental period, times the integral over any period, any interval of length t, and the integrand is W of t, the periodic signal in question, times e to the negative jk omega naught t dt. Remember, omega naught is 1 radian per second in our case. The period is 2 pi seconds, so we have to select an interval of length 2 pi to integrate over. We can choose 0 to 2 pi, but the problem with this is that we'll have to split the integral. 0 to pi over 2 would be one integral, and then 3 pi over 2 to 2 pi would be another integral. A wiser decision would be to choose the interval negative pi to positive pi. In this case, we'll only have one integral to solve. Let's have a look. If we do the integral from negative pi to pi, then notice that W of t is 0, except in the interval negative pi over 2 to positive pi over 2, in which case it's equal to 1. Great. So we only have one integral, and that's why we chose this wiser interval to work with. But any interval of length 2 pi would have worked. Okay, so how do we solve this integral then? We keep the exponential part as is, but we divide by the coefficient of t, the variable of integration. So the result will be 1 over 2 pi times 1 over negative jk, the coefficient of t, and then the exponential part plugging in the bounds negative pi over 2, positive pi over 2. Let's perhaps take the negative sign to the numerator and multiply out those two fractions. In electrical engineering, the standard is to take j, the imaginary unit, out to the front. So we'll write it like this: j 2 pi k in the denominator. Now, we'll plug in the bounds. So we have e to the negative j pi over 2k minus e to the positive j pi over 2k. And this is reminding me of something very familiar, and I see room for simplification. Let's use the negative sign outside the brackets to reverse the order of subtraction. we have the negative exponential minus the positive exponential. So using the negative sign, we'll have the positive exponential first and the negative exponential subtracted from it. Very good. The reason I did this manipulation is that this reminds me of Euler's formula and how it can be used to express the cosine and sine in terms of complex exponentials. Which case do we have here? Is it a cosine or sine? This depends on whether the complex exponentials are added or subtracted. In our case, they're subtracted, so this must be a sine. And hey, we also have a j2 in the denominator, so that's a plus. Although, even if it weren't there, it's just a constant multiple, so you could always compensate for it. Whereas with the negative sign inside, you don't really have much leeway. If the exponentials are subtracted, then this dictates that this is a sine function. If the complex exponentials were added, then it must be a cosine. Okay, we know it must be a sine now, so let's try and play around with it to produce this sine. We have 1 over j2 times 1 over k. Let's take the j2 next to the complex exponentials, put it in the denominator like this, and now it's very clear that this is sine theta, with theta equals pi over 2k. Perfect. So this gives us a general formula for the Fourier series coefficients. 1 over pi k times sine of pi over 2 times k. This happens to be purely real, but generally speaking, Fourier series coefficients can be complex with a magnitude and phase, or real part and imaginary part. But since they're purely real, in this case, we can plot them on a single pair of axes. For example, for k equals 0, we get a coefficient of 1/2. You may be wondering, how did I evaluate it for k equals 0 if we have k in the denominator? Well, you can take the limit as k approaches 0 and perhaps use L'Hopital's rule to evaluate the limit, or you can use the integral definition for ak specifically for k equals 0. If you substitute k equals 0, the exponential part will vanish, it'll just be 1, so you end up with the integral of w of t over a single period divided by t. In other words, a0, the DC component, is the average value of the periodic signal over one period. This avoids any problematic division by 0 or the need to take a limit. With that, we obtained a0 equals 1/2. For k equals 1, for example, we get 1 over pi. And the same thing holds for -1 actually, because we have an even function of k in this case. Let's do a couple more. For k equals 2, we get 0 because of sine pi, and the same thing holds for -2. For k equals 3, we get -1 over 3 pi. And the same thing holds for k equals -3. And it keeps going on, but that's enough. It's informative enough for us to see the contributions of the different harmonics. These coefficients, you see, measure the portion of the signal that is at each harmonic of the fundamental component. So we see that the DC component, the constant component, contributes the most, as its coefficient has the greatest magnitude. And then the pattern suggests that higher frequencies contribute less and less, whereas low frequencies play a greater role in the construction of the square wave signal W of t. Let me know if you'd like to see more videos on Fourier series or any other topics. Looking forward to reading your comments.